Lilian Roberto and welcome to Africa Arise. We're coming to you from Nairobi County in Kenya. This is a news analysis and commentary program that will focus on global hard-hitting topics from across the world. Here are some of the global stories making headlines today. Women in sports and the struggle of female athletes with body image. In the context of UN Sustainable Development Goals, sports have a huge potential to empower women and girls and play its role in gender development. However, female athletes have had to overcome a lot of issues in order to be acknowledged as equal. Sadly, this includes body image issues. #MeToo movement reaches the sports world. Since early October, when news broke of Harvey Weinstein's alleged penchant for serially sexually abusing women within his influential circle, a wave of sexual misconduct allegations known as the #MeToo movement have heavily trended across various industries, the sports sector being far from exempt. Studies have shown sexual harassment is more prevalent in male-dominated industries. The #MeToo movement is likely only on the cusp of beginning in sports, one of the most male-oriented industries in the country. Let's get physical. How women's sports can conquer body image. Body image issues ought to have no place in sports, but it stops many women from getting involved. Unfortunately, as a society, we are so used to the image-obsessed narrative that even sports women buy into it. You're watching Africa Arise. You can reach me on my Twitter handle at Njerililwawero. Let's keep the conversation going. The question still remains, why does sports invariably become synonymous with male? Today's main focus will be on women in sports and how female athletes struggle with body image, less opportunities, and a significant difference in pay as compared to male athletes. Over the years, we've had very interesting incidences in the sports world that have captured the attention of many worldwide. One case in particular included one of South Africa's most decorated female athletes, Caster Semenya. She has been a victim of rigid gender stereotypes for far too long. As a result, her achievement and accomplishments have been surrounded with a lot of controversy. However, Caster Semenya is not the only female athlete to have been a victim of these rigid gender stereotypes. Professional tennis player Serena Williams, record-breaking gymnast Gabby Douglas, as well as UFC fighter Ronda Rousey have been described to be manly in the recent past. Women in sports and the struggle of female athletes with body image. Onto my social media handle at Njerililwawero at June Ocheng says, sports can be a force to amplify women's voices and tear down gender barriers and discrimination. Women in sports defy the misconception that they are weak or incapable. At June Ocheng, I definitely concur with what you said. Now on to our feature story today by our very own field correspondent Kevin Kagwanja.
Sport has the power to transcend boundaries of sex, race, religion, and nationality. It promotes health and wellness, improves self-esteem, and teaches leadership, team skills, and perseverance. You don't have to be a professional athlete to care about issues impacting women in sports. Women in sports defy gender stereotypes, make inspiring role models, and show men and women as equals. Seeing is one step closer to being. However, there are still some issues in the sports world that need to be addressed. For instance, body image is an issue that affects plenty of female athletes. Now, to be a woman in sports, you have to constantly worry about how to be physically fit and build for your own sport, as well as maintain your sense of self and femininity. The problem arises when society starts to dictate certain specifications and notions that are just absurd and unfair to female athletes altogether. Professional athletes like tennis player Serena Williams and UFC fighter Ronda Rousey face many media attacks on their masculine figures, which simply goes to show the cultural obsession with criticizing women on their bodies when they have far more praiseworthy attributes to comment on. Female body image and its associated woes is one of the biggest contributing factors preventing women from being physically active in the first place. A recent Sport in England report found that 75% of the women they surveyed wanted to take part in sport, but were inhibited by fear of being judged on their appearance and ability. Girls and women across the world get fewer opportunities, less investment, training, and safety when they play sport. When they make it as a professional athlete, they meet the glass ceiling and a substantial pay gap. There's still a long way to go before we see full equality in the world of sport.
I was body shamed in high school. I was teased for looking like a boy. I've always had an athletic build. I embrace who I am, and I'm not ashamed of being all woman, but being strong and being a figure of strength.
Okay, I basically think that women should not participate in sports simply because they have comparing a woman to a man. Basically, the features restrict you from maybe being a sportswoman, and most of them end up hurting themselves easily, and even their life. Okay, there are the life-threatening injuries that only occur on women simply because they are weakly. So sports to them is not an option. Women are only entitled to maybe things of house care, taking care of children, and maybe advice to a sportsman, not herself becoming a sports personality or maybe something of the sort.
Do you think female athletes should be paid as equal to their male counterparts?
Definitely, yes. Because at the end of the day, we do play the same sport, but we play the same game. We bring out the same energy, if not more. We put in the work. So I don't understand why we should be paid any less.
Is your view feministic in any nature?
No, it's not about being feministic. It's just about making sure that people get what they deserve. So if I put in as much work in my basketball game as a guy who also trains and puts in as much work as he does, why shouldn't we be paid the same?
I actually don't think that that is a good idea, because paying a woman to a man, not even in sports alone, generally in everything that they both do, it happens that a man actually works harder than a woman. So the work rate of a man, let's just put it in scientifically, a woman is entitled, she can only work maybe 70%, but then a man will only work at to 100%, and others go an extra mile of maybe adding their mileage to 110. But then a woman cannot stretch the gains that she's been given, so there is no way a woman can be paid higher or even same than a man. Me personally, I'll choose seeing a men's sport rather than a women's sport, because comparing, for instance, football, it's slower when women are doing it, but when men are doing it, it's faster. Let me just say, the way God created a woman, there is no way you can be faster than a man, so it makes the sport boring to a person who is watching it.
A woman can equally play as good as a man. If you decide that you want to join a particular sport because you love it, because you have a passion for it, then go for it. Let nothing hold you back, and just make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. Make sure that you're doing it because you love it and because you're actually willing to put in the work.
Reporting for Africa Arise, this is Women in Sports. I am Kagonja Kevin.
We'll now be joined by our field correspondent Kevin Kagwanja, who will tell us the situation on the ground. Welcome, Kevin.
Lillian?
Now, Kevin, you've been interacting with all of these athletes. How would you describe the current environment for female athletes?
The progress is really slow, but still, the female athletes face a variety of challenges, one of them being objectification, especially when they're trying to find attires that suit their sport and also that are not too revealing.
We've had two different opinions from both June and Cedric. What was it like engaging with both of them?
It's about time that we find equity in every sport that we do, because women are still as much as talented as their male counterparts. By this I mean, women actually have to work hard, get physically fit, learn the sport, and actually look good while playing it. Well, only men just have to play the sport, and that's it. For a woman, she has to prove a point.
Right. Thank you very much, Kevin. That was a wonderful feature. We'll be right back after the break. An interesting feature story indeed. It begs the question, why can't we all just succeed together in the same industry, both men and women? That's definitely something to deliberate on. Now on to our social media handles back again. At Alexis Musioki says, it's disheartening to hear a man being so against a woman being successful in the world of sports. Why is it so hard for women not to see us as equal competitors? Alexis, that is quite sad indeed. I mean, when will women stop being expected to bend to the will of the man. We'll be right back. On to our head-on segment today, we'll be joined by two sport officials and a female professional athlete as we discuss women in sports. Maurice Masiga, Daystar University Sports Director, Caleb Bosire, Kenya University Sport Association Secretary, and Valerie Amala, who is a professional basketball player. Welcome. Now, Mr. Masiga, if I may start with you, what do you think are some of the factors affecting women in sports?
Women are different from men, and it's kind of like natural for men to get fast into sport. Competition is like natural for men. But for women, we'll get attracted to sport if the infrastructure is okay. The facilities are smooth and the equipment are there. Women will actually pick up sport. Otherwise, it's a huge challenge.
There are many factors that affect women in sports. One, there is motherhood, and then the competition landscape in sports is very male-dominated. In terms of motherhood, is women have to take a break from sports whenever they give birth, and they have to take time off. So coming up to reach the levels that they were before they went into pregnancy becomes a challenge. And then in terms of male domination, the ladies are really trying, but it's a male-dominated field. All sports are male-dominated, but the few ladies that have really tried to bring a change are really doing a good job.
I think some of the factors affecting women in sports are stereotyping. That's one of the major factor. Secondly, I think attention, like women are not given much attention in sports like the men are.
There's a lot of negativity surrounding strong feminine muscular body types from the likes of Serena Williams, Caster Semenya, and Margaret Wambui. What are your thoughts on this?
I think Serena's body structure is genetics. I think she performs the way she does, not because she has an advantage over others, but she's just a black woman who is training very hard. If you look at her training videos, you'll see how hard she trains, and there's not been any suggestion that she's on any anabolic steroid or any ergogenic aid to improve her performance. But for Semenya, I think there's a huge question there. I would think that Semenya's performance is aided because of hormonal differences. High testosterone is majorly male, and so it's not fair the way she competes against other females. Yeah.
Ladies are different from men in terms of masculinity, testosterone levels, and the various federations have tried to put a cap in terms of women testosterone levels so that they can be a level playing field for all women in sports. But they should also encourage these people to participate in sport. However, these people should not be discouraged from playing sports because you never choose to be born with more testosterone levels. They should be encouraged to participate in sport, but they should follow the law.
My thoughts about this are the stereotype does exist, true. And those people who stereotype people are just, a woman is allowed to go to the gym and do her thing just as a man can. So I don't find it good enough for someone who will stereotype a woman because she's masculine built. And in the case of Semenya, they are like, they should take her away from the women's race because she's a bit masculine. So what? Like, I mean, if you don't have these things in the gym, yeah, like the masculinity and all that, some ladies might go to the gym and work out but will not be as masculine as the rest. But some will go work out even if it's a few weeks and buff.
very interesting opinions there. It's fascinating to hear about these stories and experiences, and it's also important to use your platform to promote healthy dialogue and healthy conversations. Raising great discussions, that's what we do here at Africa Arise. Make sure to join us next time and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Africa Arise. You could also reach out to us using my Twitter handle at Njerilil Wawero using the hashtag Africa Arise. Thank you for watching. I am Lilian Wawero.